guys, welcome to episode 2 of the podcast. My name's Emma and I've been working at NAVARRA venues for coming up to 5 years now, and I'm currently based at our Montage venue.
And I'm Jade. I've also been working at NAVARRA venues for 2 years, and I'm currently based at our beautiful Curzon Hall venue.
The castle, yay! All right, beautiful girl, how you been going? It feels like forever since I've seen you. I really miss you.
Miss you too. I know. Look, I can't believe that it's already been nearly 8 weeks that we've been at home now. How have you been finding the transition from office to home?
It's honestly such a challenge. Like, I feel like such a huge part of our job really relies on being at the venue so that we can really help the couple sort of visualize the dream. And we have such an incredible team of people that we work with at the venues. You know, I really miss working with the chefs and our operations team because they're also such a big part of bringing the events to life. What about you?
Completely agree. It's been such a challenge, but I do also think it's really opened our eyes to alternative ways that we're able to communicate with our couples, which has been really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And I think that's a great segue into sort of us discussing why we're here today, which is to share advice on how our couples can continue to coordinate their events and plan towards their special day during lockdown. And I think I can sort of confidently say that we both can really appreciate how stressful and disheartening this whole situation is for all of our clients, and specifically for those who have had to postpone their events.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the whole reason we got into this field of work was to assist our couples on what's supposed to be this exciting and emotional journey for them.
Yeah.
And we build these incredible relationships with them. So we really do share the pain and anguish that they're going through. We both worked through COVID last year, which was so difficult. But it did show us how fluid the situation was. And when we got the opportunity to open our venues and host events again, it was so important to make sure that our couples were prepared and weren't fretting to organize anything last minute.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so important in our position to help our clients sort of maintain that sense of excitement towards their events as well. And whether it's going to take place on their expected date or whether it's going to be moved to a later date, I think we also have to give like a bit of a shout out to the amazing industry suppliers that we have in New South Wales as well, because we always think of like, the clients and the venues, but I think we really have to acknowledge that they have been through a lot of hardship. They can't work at the moment. And I think just, they've been so flexible with, things like, reducing deposits and rescheduling dates. And this is also that they can make sure that the clients are still, they're not scared to book anything or commit to anything. So, they're being really flexible for, our clients so that they can still secure those supplies for their events.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for sure. Having the opportunity to do virtual appointments with our couples has been such an incredible means of keeping that conversation alive and keeping them excited, which is what's most important. We really urge all couples to contact their event coordinators and just start a conversation. We never go into appointments expecting couples to have anything confirmed or sorted. Most of the time, you won't have anything in order at all. You probably don't even know what you want yet. And that's fine, just having a forum for open discussion to ask any questions that you might have and get some advice can just be such a positive experience.
Yeah. And, regarding virtual appointments, I've actually had some really amazing feedback from my couples who I've done appointments with during lockdown. And they've sort of come to me afterwards and just said, I feel so much more confident and so much more reassured than they did before. So, even though it's such a scary situation and you might not feel like having that conversation at the moment because it's just so stressful and anxious. I think it's just important. Just do it and you'll feel a lot better afterwards.
Yeah, that's amazing. Out of curiosity, what have you found are the key things that you've been discussing in your coordination appointments?
Look, I always like to open the platform to them to ask sort of any COVID related questions to start with, because I think it's important. like we said before, we've both sort of been through a similar situation last year. So we do have that experience, and I think that knowledge really helps to put their minds at ease. So I start with questions like that, and just making sure that they know that sort of we don't have any special inside information. We get the information at the same time as everyone else in New South Wales. So, yeah, look, I think that helps to relieve some of the anxiety, and then we can sort of move on and dive right into like the more exciting part of the conversation, which is, sort of for me to understand what the dream is for them, what kind of experience that they want to create for their guests. And then that sort of leads me into discussing like menu and styling options that can specifically be tailored for their event. And I think we're really lucky to work with a venue that sort of strives to push boundaries when it comes to like creating new ways that we can showcase like food and styling, and having the opportunity for our clients to sort of move away from that more traditional experience.
Emma, we have a few questions that have been submitted through our social media platforms, and I think this might be a good time for us to go through and answer some of them. We got for that at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So, funny enough, the first question is actually in relation to food setup and ideas. Do you have anything to touch on that?
Yeah, well, for sure. When I mean, you would remember we did our recent showcase event at La Montage in May. And at that event, we really took the opportunity to display like quite a few examples of how couples can really like elevate the food and beverage experience for their event. I mean, I remember to start, we had, in the foyer as people arrived, we had these beautiful models that we'd got through one of our amazing suppliers, and they had these skirts that were tiered in design, and they could hold these champagne glasses. So, as the guests arrived, they were seeing these beautiful girls in these beautiful skirts, and they could, get a glass of champagne and make their way upstairs. And I think that was a huge wow factor for our guests when they first arrived.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that. I thought that was so clever. And then once the guests actually moved upstairs, they got to indulge in the decadent grano padano and bruschetta station and the fresh arancini station that we had set up on the terrace as well, which just looked awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely next level. There was like figs, honey, dates, olives, like beautiful mixed nuts, and like our famous giant cheese displays, which are always such a wow factor. And I think, not only do these stations like taste amazing, but they're so aesthetically pleasing. And, I've worked with the venue for a few years now, and every time I see one set up, it's just like I even get blown away. Like, and I always want to get my phone out and take photos of it. So, and I think one of the best things about these sort of stations is that they can all be sort of tailored to suit like different cultural backgrounds, and just add that sort of a bit more personal element to the event as well.
Yeah. And I mean, come on, we need to talk about the live creme brulee station as well. I mean, the chefs came out in their white hats and, bruleed the tops and like handed them out to the guests. And I thought that was just so special, having the chefs there personally and, just finishing off those desserts and handing them to the guests, I thought was just beautiful.
Yeah, that's always a hit. I'm pretty sure they nearly like burnt the place down doing that because they're always a bit overexcited. But yeah, such a cool like way of putting food and entertainment together.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so our next question is recommended tips and tricks for planning a wedding during COVID.
Okay, yeah. Look, I'd say, like we mentioned before, like making sure that the conversation about the wedding is active, that's definitely key. Even though you're going to come across some road bumps with your planning, you might have to consider an alternative date or consider new suppliers. There's plenty of resources out there to sort of help people through this. Keeping the excitement alive, definitely, like we said before, continuing to explore like new ideas and trends, keeping an open mind as much as possible, and just remembering that like the end goal is just ultimately to celebrate this incredible special milestone for you and your partner. I think from a venue's perspective, we give our clients like several resources and documents that they can work through as part of like their coordination process. So I definitely recommend taking the time to go through and like utilize these to give you some sort of structure when you need it. And for the people who don't have a specific event coordinator that they can reach out to and get these from. I've noticed that there's several sort of online forums, especially, on social media platforms like Facebook, where couples can sort of talk to each other about their experiences during COVID. And I think it's really nice to see specifically those couples who, went through a lot of hardship last year and maybe had to move their date several times. But they've come back after the event and they've posted, a really amazing review and encourage people to keep going and keep planning towards their day, because it can still be amazing even if it's not exactly what you originally planned.
Yeah, that's completely right. I think another tip that we could recommend would be try not to overcomplicate the process for yourselves.
Yeah.
Really utilize recommendations that are made to you from people in the industry, and try and keep your eggs in a couple of baskets. There are a number of vendors, including venues, that can organize a range of services for you. Doing it this way will avoid you having to communicate with too many different sources. This will also make things much simpler for you if you do find yourselves in the position where you need to make changes to your date.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely makes things easier. Okay, the next question we got was one that was specifically regarding styling tips and ideas, which I think would be a good opportunity for us to talk a bit about some things that we see that are trending and a bit of what we can expect to see in 2022.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There are just so many creative ideas out there that are just taking us surprise. The one in particular that sticks out to me, and I'm seeing all over social media, is the different ways that couples have been displaying their guest lists. I've seen some really clever ones, from periodic tables to punny statements, keepsakes, and even tables that are named after cities or countries instead of table numbers. I think, this is something that's just so special, not only for the bride and groom, but also for the guests. This gives the special couple a chance to incorporate something near and dear to them that means something to their relationship, be it how they met or something that they both share a common love for. The great thing about this is that there are infinite options to work with, and it will be a great first impression for your guest arrival.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love the concept of sort of adding that sort of more unique flair and letting couples incorporate their interests and passions into the event. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
One trend that I have noticed that has become increasingly unpopular is this concept of bringing the outdoors inside. I've seen it with a lot of overseas weddings where they've shown us that, events are being styled in a way that incorporate a lot of sort of unstructured foliage and like very natural looking structures that create this sort of overgrown illusion that event spaces are just manifesting out of this natural and wild sort of habitat. I've even noticed this trend becoming more popular with outdoor ceremonies as well. So like styling the space in such a way that it looks really effortless and natural and like perfectly complements the surrounding landscape that they've chosen. And I even found this image recently, which I'm in love with. And it is an image of this outdoor ceremony where they've got the sides of the aisle have these beautiful long stem roses like coming out of the ground. And it just looks so natural. It looked like they were literally growing out of the ground. And I mean, I think from our perspective, like doing a lot of sort of styling and coordination, we know that wouldn't have been an easy task to make it look so natural. So, yeah, no, I think that that's definitely something that we'll see a bit more of in 2022.
It's been so great to have the opportunity to do this, and I hope that everything we've discussed today can be useful to not only our NAVARRA couples, but also to other couples out there who are stuck in lockdown and unsure of, how they should be moving forward at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's been so amazing to talk with you, and like I can't wait to catch up with everyone again once this is all over.
Yeah, fingers crossed we get some good news soon.
Yeah. And I think if anyone has any more questions for us, please let us know. We can jump back on here and we can do another episode and answer some more questions for you guys. But we'll see you next time.
See you guys.